हो गया। राधा माधव डन ना? राधा माधव किया? दोबारा नहीं करेंगे। हरे कृष्णा। जमशपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्री श्रीमद चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। अनंत श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जनिताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 2, verse number 33. या कश्चनेशो बलिनो अन्तःकोरगात् प्रचंड वेगादभिधावतो वृषम् भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाति यद्भयान् मृत्यु प्रधावति अरणं तम इमाहि या कश्चनेशो बलिनो अन्तोगरागात् प्रचंड वेगादभिधावतो वृषम् भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाति यद्भयान् मृत्यु प्रभावति अरणं तम इमाहि या कश्चनेशो बलिनो अन्तकोरगात् प्रचंड वेगादभिधावतो वृषम् भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाति यद्भयान् मृत्यु प्रधावति अरणं तम इमहि कश्चनेशो बलिनो प्रपन्नं परिपाति यद्भयान् कश्चनेशो बलिनान्तकोरगात् प्रचण्डवेगादभिधावतो वृषम् भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाति यद्भयान् मृत्यु प्रभावति अरणम् कश्चनेशो बलिनान्तकोरगात् प्रचण्डवेगादभिधावतो वृषम् भीतं प्रपन्नं परिपाति यद्भयान् माता जी कश्चनेशो बलिनो अन्तकोरगात् प्रचंड वेगादभिधावतो वृषम् प्रपन्नं परिपाति यद्भयम् मृत्यो प्रधावति अरणं तम इमाहि Yakaschanesho balinontakoraga Prachanda vegata vidhavato vrisham Pitam prapannam paripati yadbhayam Mrityu pradhavati arnam. Word for word meaning. Yaha, he who, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kaschana, someone. Isaha, the Supreme Controller. Balinaha, very powerful. Antaka uragat, from the great serpent of time, which brings death. Prachanda vegat, whose force is fearful. Abhidhavataha, who is chasing. Brisham, endlessly, every hour and every minute. Bhitam, one who is afraid of death. Prapannam, who is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Paripati, he protects. Yat bhayat, from the fear of the Lord. Mrityuhu, death itself. Pradhavati, runs away. Haranam, the actual shelter of everyone. Tam, unto him. Imahi, I surrender or take shelter. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly not known to everyone, but he is very powerful and influential. And therefore, although the serpent of eternal time, which is fearful in force, endlessly chases everyone, ready to swallow him, if one who fears this serpent seeks shelter of the Lord gives him protection, for even death runs away in fear of the Lord. I therefore surrender unto him, the great and powerful Supreme Authority, who is the actual shelter of everyone. Please repeat the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly not known to everyone, but he is very powerful and influential. Therefore, although the serpent of eternal time, which is fearful in force, endlessly chases everyone, ready to swallow him, if one who fears this serpent seeks shelter of the Lord gives him protection. For even death runs away in fear of the Lord. I therefore surrender unto him, the great and powerful Supreme Authority, who is the actual shelter of everyone. Purport. It's a decent size purport, which is very good. One who is intelligent understands that there is a great and supreme authority above everything. That great authority appears in different incarnations to save the innocent from disturbances. And as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam. The Lord appears in his various incarnations for two purposes: to annihilate the duskriti, the sinful, and to protect his devotees. The king of elephants decided to surrender unto him. This is intelligent. One must know that great Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must know that great Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender unto him. The Lord comes personally to instruct us how to be happy, and only fools and rascals do not see by intelligence this Supreme Authority, the Supreme Person. In the Shruti Mantra it is said, Bhishasmad Vahatapavate Bhisho Deti Surya Bhishasmad Agnis Chandrascha Mrityur Dhavati Panchamaha. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.8. It is out of the fear of Supreme Personality of Godhead that the wind is blowing, that the sun is distributing heat and light, and that death is chasing everyone. Thus, there is a supreme controller, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. This material manifestation is working so well because of the supreme controller. Any intelligent person therefore can understand that there is a supreme controller. Furthermore, the supreme controller himself appears as Lord Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as Lord Ramchandra to give us instructions and to show us by example how to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, those who are duskriti, the lowest of men, do not surrender. Namam duskriti no mudha prapadyante naradamaha. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord clearly says, Mrityu sarva haras chaham. I am all devouring death. Thus, Mrityu or death is the representative who takes away everything from the living entity who has accepted a material body. No one can say, I do not fear death. This is a false proposition. Everyone fears death. However, one who seeks shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be saved from death. One may argue, does the devotee not die? The answer is that a devotee certainly must give up his body, for the body is material. The difference is, however, that for one who surrenders to Krishna fully and who is protected by Krishna, the present body is his last. He will not again receive a material body to be subjected to death. This is assured in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti Arjuna. A devotee, after giving up his body, does not accept a material body, but returns home back to Godhead. We are always in danger because at any moment the death can take place. It is not that only Gajendra, the king of elephant, was afraid of death. Everyone should fear death because everyone is caught by the crocodile of eternal time and may die at any moment. The best course, therefore, is to seek shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and be saved from the struggle of existence in this material world, in which one repeatedly takes birth and dies. To reach this understanding is the ultimate goal of life. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of 8th canto, 2nd chapter of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, entitled The Elephant Gajendra's Crisis. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuthapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Like you all are surprised, I am also surprised why I am sitting here. So devotee who was supposed to give Bhagavatam couldn't come. So I was the only one who was got. So But this amazing chapter is coming to an end with this verse. And after this, Gajendra's prayer of surrender will start. But and those prayers are amazing. The prayers when a devotee, the prayers which a devotee offers in a helpless condition are worth hearing. So please stay tuned to the future classes. Actually, the state of helplessness is very natural. But what is not natural is what you do when you are helpless. And that, based on everyone's individual consciousness, people decide what they want to do when they are in helpless condition. We were hearing in last couple of classes that due to Gajendra's exalted nature of his piety, he chose that in the state of helplessness, he would want to call out to the Lord. And that was his greatness. What made Gajendra great was that what he did in the state of helplessness. And who all of us sitting in this room and everyone out in the outside world, their success will also depend on what they do in the state of helplessness. When Mother Nature, I'm purposefully not using material nature, but when Mother Nature strikes, because she will, then only those devotees or only those people who understand that this material nature or Mother Nature belongs to someone which is the Supreme Lord, which is superior to her, will call out to the Supreme Lord, understanding that she is inferior to the Supreme Lord. If this understanding is not there, then people will naturally act because they think material nature is independent, and they understand that because she is independent, there is no one who is supervising her action. And then why there is a need for me to call out to someone who is superior to her to fix my issue? And this is atheism, actually. When we understand, when a person comes to a conclusion that there is no Supreme Lord and everything is randomly happening. So you cannot expect such a person to call out to the Supreme Lord, to pray to the Supreme Lord. In this particular purport, if you see, Prabhupada is speaking about two different aspects. One is the fear aspect, which everyone goes through, and the other is the unavoidable death. So the fear of the Supreme Lord is causing this whole creation to function. That is the first part of the purport. And Prabhupada is explaining how he is the controller, he is the Adhyaksha or the superintendent of this creation, who is causing this creation to function. And then second part of the purport is how the Supreme Lord will come as death for an ordinary person and snatch away everything that a person has. But that same death does not behave in that very intense, I would say, very rude way to a devotee. Imagine someone comes to you and forcefully takes away everything you have and just pushes you away, and you are just thrown on the ground, and whatever you have is just snatched away. You'll be very upset because it's a rude is also a very polite word for such an action, actually. It's a very harsh way of treating someone. But for a devotee, it's very different. There are two reasons why for a devotee, for a pure devotee, it is very different, is that even before death comes, they are already detached to everything they have. So even if it is taken away, it doesn't feel that it's forcefully taken because they have already given it up. Second is they have something very superior to hold on to, which is the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. In yesterday's verse, in the purport, we were hearing that particular verse which Gopavendra Prabhu was quoting, Samashitaya Padapallava Plavam. How for a devotee who is very tightly holding on to the Supreme Lord, the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, how this insurmountable ocean of material existence just reduces, shrinks to the size of a hoof print of a calf. When I was reading this verse before, it gives such an insight to the speaker's mind that so purposefully they are using calf and not even cow to show that it becomes just so insignificant, because cow's hoof print is at least little bigger. What does it matter for a person to jump over a cow's hoof print or a calf's hoof print? It is insignificant anyways. But it is exactly to show us that for a devotee it does not matter at all. And we see in the lives of great devotees when they are passing away, it is just so different from passing away of a normal person. And we see how many great personalities, when they leave the body, it is very easy transition for them. So Srila Prabhupada, in one of his, there is a very amazing, nice anecdote on that. Srila Prabhupada was in his room and Malati Mataji with her daughter enters, and she was carrying her daughter. I'm hoping it was Malati Mataji only. Yeah. And then Prabhupada asked her just straight, what do you think? Is cat's way better or a monkey's way better? So she just didn't understand what she means. Is the cat way is better or monkey's way better? And she apologized, Prabhupada, sorry, I don't get your point. I can't answer you what is better. Prabhupada said, the way monkey and her mother are together, is that better? Or how a kitten is carried by a cat, that is better? Of course, she couldn't answer. Then Prabhupada explained that all the other process, leave aside atheism, leave aside those who are not even believing in God, all other process which are karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, are exactly like mother monkey and baby monkey. If you see a mother monkey, when she jumps from wall to wall or tree to tree, she is using all her four legs to jump. So the job of the baby is to very tightly clinch onto the mother from underneath, if you have seen. If not, then please visit Vrindavan. You'll see many such examples. The baby monkey holds on to the mother underneath, and the mother is moving around, walking or jumping, whatever. So it is the job of the baby to hold tightly to the mother. Because when mother is busy jumping the tree, she cannot focus on the child. If baby falls, baby falls. Prabhupada said this is one principle, one way of taking care of the child, where the child's grip is more important than mother's own care. Because if the child drops, child drops. But the other example is a cat carrying the kitten. The only thing kitten has to do is allow the mother freedom to carry her. And what mother does is that she carries the kitten in her mouth. And wherever she has to jump, move around, she will do. And whenever she reaches food, she just puts the kitten down and kitten drinks. Again she carries the kitten and then she moves around. So Prabhupada says this way is better. And all other yoga processes are like monkey holding on to the mother by their own strength. And when one is holding on to the mother, or in this matter to the yoga system, on their own strength, it is their sadhana which matters. Because the mercy of the Supreme Lord is not carrying them. It is the strength of their sadhana which is holding on to the process, which is making them even pious or sane for that matter. But for a devotee who is on the path of pure devotion, who is on the path of practicing Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion service, once the devotee allows or surrenders unto the Supreme Lord and to the instructions of the spiritual master, it is no more the headache of the devotee, because Krishna takes charge. It is the Supreme Lord who takes charge of the devotee situation. And that makes this devotee fearless. This particular behavior of this particular exchange between the Supreme Lord and the devotee makes the devotee fearless, and that's why such purport is written. That when a devotee passes away, he is fearless. Why? Because before death even comes, this devotee has happily given permission to the mother to carry him. So that's the greatness of a devotee. And in that mood, now Gajendra is praying. And when we are in that helpless state, if that particular mood is expressed to the Lord, it is possible. Now many people say, and we all have heard and said ourselves also, that death is final exam and the whole life is preparation. So when the final, very destitute condition, a living entity comes in, now how will suddenly it will happen that this devotee will hold on to this Lord or call out to the Lord? It will not happen. Like as long as Radhanath Swami, he says that whatever you do in your 22 hours will reflect when you sit down to chant for 2 hours. Right? So in our 22 hours, if what we have done is only meditated on me and mine, aham mameti, myself and those who I am attached to, if I have only focused on fulfilling the sensual and the mental needs of me and those who I am attached to, then suddenly you switch on to chanting for 2 hours and you will just absorb in thinking about someone else. So he says it's not going to happen. So our practice begins in the 22 hours so that when we chant, we can chant nicely. And that's where devotees who are engaged in Sankirtan, which is preaching of the holy names of the Lord, either through street kirtan, book distribution, home programs, temple preaching, whatever, it trains the devotee to start thinking during their day or their week about someone else. It's a very good training. Otherwise, constant meditation is aham mameti, me and those who I am attached to. It's a constant meditation of all of us otherwise. Preaching, what it does is that it brings an attitude in the devotee that I have to think about someone else. Now if suppose, just for example, you have a home program running and you have a Bhakti Vriksha, for example, or a Namahatta program you do, and there is a study group happening, you have 25-30 people. Now in that week, which previously you were only busy about thinking about you and your family and your investment and your future and whatever you are attached to, now you are worried about those 25-30 people. So it shifts the meditation. And what you are worried about is that how to take them closer to Krishna. So that brings in this attitude where a devotee starts thinking beyond oneself in service to Krishna. And this is a very small way of training ourselves. Another way of training oneself is when small challenges come. When very small challenges will come, are we actually calling out to the Supreme Lord or not? And it's a very good practice for that final examination. That are we calling out to the Supreme Lord when small issues come in our life? It's exactly like some devotees, they have this in their mind. When I'm dealing with issues which I think I can deal with, and they are not major issues, I don't want to pray to the Lord to give me strength, because I know I can deal with it. But as a good practice, even though we don't want to take service from the Supreme Lord, it is understandable, but that mood of seeking out help is very helpful. And now Gajendra, because he had done that in his previous life, now in this very critical moment when he will die soon, he is utilizing that piety, that previous samskara he had of praying to the Supreme Lord. And that's why prayers are very, 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 very important. One devotee was telling me that I have been chanting for almost 5-6 years, and till now I have never gone in front of the deities and prayed for anything, because in my initial lectures I heard you should not ask Krishna for anything. So we were discussing the definition of anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karma adi anavritam anukulena krishna anushilanam bhakti ruttama. That there should be no desire when you approach. Pure devotional service means there should be no desire when you are approaching the Supreme Lord. There should be no desire of jnana and karma. There should be no desire for mental speculation and fruitive activities. But somehow the devotee was not well informed. that it says no material desire. We should have abhilasha. We should have desires when we come in front of the Lord. Otherwise, when we chant Tulsi Arti, Morai Abhilash, Vilas Kunja Diyavas, it's abhilasha. It's a desire that give me access to Vilas Kunja, your grooves where you are doing your lila. This abhilasha, this desire is there. So, desires are very important. And for that, prayers are very important. And while we are performing our daily duties, these prayers are very substantial. One time I was driving His Holiness Devamrit Maharaj. And I was just driving, I told this before also, I was just driving, Maharaj was sitting next to me and suddenly Maharaj said, Krishna! I stopped the car. I thought something happened. I said, Maharaj, is it okay? He continued chanting. I thought, okay, anyways. I continued. Then I asked Gopa Prabhu. He said, no, Maharaj has this habit of calling out to Krishna suddenly. And of course, I don't know what was in Maharaj's mind, because he does that a lot. What I understood from that is it's a very good practice to call out to Krishna in your daily activities. Because when the final judgment time comes, when the final exam comes, this habit will help actually to call out to Krishna. So, what we do with full consciousness in our day-to-day life will naturally reflect when we are incapable of doing that activity. So, very important point. We hear in the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj how when Bhagavatam explains, when Dhruva was leaving this material world and he was entering the vehicle, that Vahan which Vishnuduta has got, it explains that Dhruva stepped on the head of death as a stepping stone, and then he entered the vehicle, the Vahan which Vishnuduta has got. And this is exactly what a devotee does. That for a non-devotee, for someone who is not surrendered unto the Supreme Lord, death devours. But for a devotee, he steps onto the death. He steps on the head of the death, personification of death, and then walks to the next abode. And this is very, we are very fortunate that because of technology, we have access to departures of great souls, how they leave. We saw His Holiness Kadam Karan Maharaj passing, and then we recently saw His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, how they were passing away and what they were doing during their departure time. Recently, when His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj was passing away, many of you will know that he fell and he had broken ribs. So when he fell and his ribs were broken, he was in extreme pain. So it was morning hours, he fell, his ribs were broken, he came and then he started doing his deity worship for 1.5 hours he did. But when he could not bear the pain, then of course he was taken to hospital. So if I was thinking, if I fall, first thing I need is 2-3 days break because I have fallen and I'm injured. But straight coming out and then performing your deity worship and then going to the hospital because it's unbearable now, I can't handle this pain anymore. And what it led to, we all know, if you followed the details. But very important, when His Holiness Kadam Karan Maharaj was passing away, he was so conscious, he was so very conscious. And the day he passed away, he asked his servant, is Giriraj worship done? But just, I don't know if you have gone to anyone who is about to pass away when they're just leaving their bodies, or they're very sick few days before, and they're very, very chronically sick. They're conscious, but they're sick. Those people cannot think about anything other than their pain and their attachments. It's just not possible. We hear that very funny story about it, how this businessman who was on the deathbed, and he asks his eldest son, and he calls him, Sham, and he's just lying down, eyes closed on the bed. Sham, are you here? He said, yes, my dear father, I am here, just next to you. And don't worry, we are we will make sure that every arrangement is done properly, you are comfortable, we are all here for you. He said, Ram, are you also here? He said, yes, Father, I'm just next to you. We're just seeing all the arrangements at home, how things are happening. We are with you, don't worry. Ghanshyam, are you here? Yes, Father, I'm also here. How can we leave you? We are so attached to you. He said, you fools, you rascals, all three of you are here. Then who is at the shop? Who is taking care of the shop? So this is the attitude of a person who is attached to things in this world. But for those who have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, it's very different. It's just very, very different. And it's worth watching because it inspires us to do some tiny bit of extra effort in our daily lives. And one of the key reasons of observing advanced devotees or having a very advanced devotees amongst us is that it increases our faith. And you know why it increases our faith? One of the classic reason is it somewhere gives assurance to us in the heart that yes, this process works. Otherwise, how is it possible that this person is able to do? I know I cannot do, but how is it possible that this particular devotee is able to do? If the process does not work, on what capacity is he able to act like that? Because humanly it is impossible. You just cannot do it. When Srila Prabhupada was very, very old, he was carried on a palanquin. And a couple of devotees are carrying him on palanquin. And his body is emaciated, just skin and bone, and very, 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 very weak. For days he hasn't eaten anything. The only thing he's taking is Charnamrita that week. And then he noticed one of his disciples who was carrying him had a boil on the feet. And he stopped and he's asking the welfare of the devotee that please take care. What happened to your feet? How are you in pain? What caused it? And the devotee was just crying in tears. How is it possible? It is not possible for someone to think beyond themselves in this condition. When the Ayurvedic doctor came to examine Srila Prabhupada, in Leelamrita this comes, that he told the devotees, do you know what your guru is going through? It's in his head, he feels pain like there is constant hammering happening in his head and there is fire in his stomach. And the devotees are thinking, but he was translating Bhagavatam. And if you see that video, so for all those days Prabhupada was going through that pain, and in that pain he was translating Bhagavatam and focusing on the holy name. And this is so assuring, this is so very assuring that if it was not to the potency of this process, how is it possible? How can anyone actually transcend material conditions in this state? It's just not possible. And it's very, very, very hope-giving that yes, one day hum honge kamyab. It'll happen to us also. May not be in this life, but at least it can be in this life depending on our intensity, but yes, we will be successful. And that's why Prabhupada could write in his purport these statements, Otherwise, Prabhupada, very often he said, my purports are my ecstasies. They are my realizations. On what basis Prabhupada is writing this? He is not just copy-pasting something from scriptures or what previous Acharya said. It is his ecstasy. I'll just read exactly what he says. One may argue, does the devotee not die? The answer is that a devotee certainly must give up his body, for the body is material. The difference is, however, that for one who surrenders to Krishna fully and who is protected by Krishna, the present body is his last. He will not again receive a material body to be subjected to death. This is assured in Bhagavad Gita. Tektva deham punar janma naiti mameti su Arjuna. A devotee, after giving up his body, does not accept a material body but returns home back to Godhead. Recently I am reading a book, Srila Prabhupada's in Vrindavan in Last Days by Hare Prabhu. That's his last book he released. It's an amazing book. I haven't still not reached halfway through. But this book has this book has details of every hour what Prabhupada was doing. So Hare Prabhu has written this book in a way that morning 9:30 Prabhupada did this. Then 11:30 he did this. Then he took rest, and then 3:30 he did this. So this is such an insight to what day by day, hour by hour Srila Prabhupada was doing. So he was there with Prabhupada for 1 month, which is Prabhupada left on, I think, 14th November, right? On 1977. So he was there till end of October. So last 15 to 20 days something he was not there with Prabhupada. But before that 1 month's account he has given. And before reading that book, because Leelamrita does not give all these very nitty-gritties, the details. So you can have this idea in your mind that, oh, there is some personality who's beyond pain, nothing bothers him, he's so absorbed in Krishna, and everything is just so aloof. But when you read that book, you're actually seeing a very powerful, a very transcendental human being with human exchanges, expressing, showing what is Krishna consciousness. So you get that very human touch from these details where Prabhupada is saying, today I am in too much pain, can you shift me? And every day to move him, devotees were required to shift him, move him on the side. And then he would have bed sores and all. So with that extreme situation, with that details, how he was so Krishna conscious is just amazing to know. And these devotees have this 100% assurance of Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti suarjuna. After giving this body, I am not coming back again. Still, in that condition also, when devotees approached Srila Prabhupada, and they were praying that, Prabhupada, you are not eating anything, you are not drinking anything, only 2-3 drops of Charnamrita you take. In that pain, you know what Srila Prabhupada told the devotees? He said, you all go out and you all decide whether you want me to stay or leave. And these devotees were shocked. They came out and they said, it appears that the decision is in Prabhupada's hands, whether he wants to stay or leave. And then devotees went out, they discussed that, oh, society is not mature enough, we just can't run it without you, we need you. And they amongst themselves, they decided, the Krishna Maharaj, Hare Prabhu, all other senior devotees were there. And then they came back and they told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we want you to stay. Prabhupada said, okay, wait. He closed his eyes and he thought for a moment. He thought. And the devotees are writing, it was as if he was discussing with Krishna what he wanted to do. And then Prabhupada opened his eyes. He said, okay, bring me juice. And just imagine the feeling that your spiritual master is not eating for days. How long can body survive without food and water? It's just a matter of 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days maximum. But when they hear that the spiritual master with his own free will, which Krishna has given him, he decides, okay, I will stay. And then Srila Prabhupada says, okay, bring juice. What happiness would that be for those devotees? That, oh, Prabhupada is going to stay with us. And he did stay. 40 more days he did stay with them. So Prabhupada got up, he said, now bring me juice. That if you want me to stay, I have to feed the body. And they brought fresh juice and then he ate something and all. How independent is that? How independent is that decision of a devotee who can choose, okay, few more days? It's just unbelievable actually. So I'm just waiting to read more of that book, but it's just amazing details it's given. And exactly in that particular book, the heart and mind of Srila Prabhupada comes forth, which we know that particular pastime where a Ayurvedic doctor from Bangalore, who was also a Vaishnava, I think, he flew all the way just to see Prabhupada and instruct him with discuss with very important point to him. He thought he is giving news to Prabhupada from Shastra, something very critical he's telling Srila Prabhupada. So what was happening is that Prabhupada's, see Prabhupada's small deity in the altar in feet of Gaur Nitai. So in Vrindavan, they were already having this small deity of Prabhupada which was worshipped. So this particular Vaid came because he had utmost respect for Srila Prabhupada and he was attached to Srila Prabhupada. He came and he asked Prabhupada, can I talk to you in person? So secretary was there and he said, Swamiji, one thing I want to tell you, and he quoted scriptures. He said, if the Guru is still alive and his deity is worshipped, actually whoever comes and worships that Guru, the deity, Guru gets the karma of all those who come and worship him. Because when your Guru is still alive and you have the deity of the Guru, he basically takes away the karmic reactions of those who are praying to him. And for him, in his mind, he was going to tell Prabhupada, please remove your deity until you depart. After you pass away, you can have your deity, no problem. But before that, your murti on the altar, your deity on the altar is giving you a lot of pain. And then Prabhupada looked at him and said, I know. And that's what I'm here for. And this devotee was bewildered, seeing mood of Srila Prabhupada, that he was there to reduce people's suffering by taking away their karma so that they can progress materially. And he just paid his obeisances, he just walked out and he said, your spiritual master is way too transcendental. Hare Krishna. So amazing personality. And that's why with these realizations, Prabhupada can talk like this. And exact same effect of transcending death we can see in devotees' life, how they pass away. So with that thought, I'll just stop. There's not much I prepared. If anyone has any questions or comment, we can discuss. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for a nice class. How to be fully dependent on Lord, like when one feels helplessness, or another way is that how one can do in such a way that is not becoming careless as well. Because one may think now everything is in the hand of Lord Krishna, now I'm helpless, but he may not be helpless, like he still has to do his karma or duty or dharma.
Yeah, very good question. How to still act in a way that it appears that you are depending on the Lord, but you are doing your part also.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one pastime which happened with my spiritual master, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So they were driving from Delhi to Vrindavan. A person threw stone on the car. So there were some younger devotees also with Maharaj. They were full, car was full. So they were driving towards Vrindavan, or I think they were coming back from Vrindavan. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember. So someone threw stone on the car. So Maharaj told the driver, drive fast. Drive fast. So driver started driving very fast and they kept going. And they reached the destination. So this devotee asked, Maharaj, you are a sannyasi. You are such a great devotee, such a senior devotee. Why were you so scared? Like, a sannyasi has to be fearless. It's one of the key characteristics of a sannyasi that you should sannyasi is fearless. But why you asked, rush the car, go fast, go fast? In one single statement, Maharaj so simply replied, he said, because I did not want to take service from Krishna. Mm-hmm. You see?
Yeah.
So this is the mood of advanced devotees, that they will do their part as much as they could do so that the Supreme Lord does not have to interfere. Right?
Yeah.
Another thing I'll tell you, when Pune temple opening was happening, in Pune a massive temple came, NVCC it's called. So President of India was invited, Pranab Mukherjee, for the opening. And a lot of security was required because President of India is coming to an event, and if any mishap happens, especially if it happens in our institution, then it'll be a black mark for all ISKCON to come for good. Yeah. So Maharaj was very concerned. Gopal Krishna Maharaj was overseeing the arrangements. He was very, very concerned. So he was on the floor checking all the security arrangements. And Radhanath Maharaj also told him, Maharaj, we have done our part. Now you please relax. Now you take rest. Let's see what happens tomorrow. And Maharaj said, no. We have to be very careful. We have to be very mindful. And what he did, he just a night before, he rearranged and changed all the security arrangements again. Right? So then, Radhanath Maharaj himself was glorifying Maharaj's action, that he was so vigilant to protect ISKCON and serve Srila Prabhupada, that nothing by any error of ours, any mistake should happen. When president comes and something wrong happens. And exactly same thing happened when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was coming to Delhi temple to inaugurate one of the biggest Bhagavad Gita they made in Delhi temple. So everyone was very excited. Prime Minister is coming, Prime Minister is coming. But what happened that day? Indian government ordered surgical strike on Pakistan that same very morning. So that means now when surgical strike happens to a neighboring country who is a nuclear power, now they can attack because there is a strike. It can turn into war. So Maharaj was praying that Narendra Modi should cancel and don't come to temple. You see, a day before, the excitement was Prime Minister is coming, it will give a very good boost to the community, to the society. But when the threat, he saw threat coming on ISKCON or Prabhupada's institution, he was really desiring he should not come. Doesn't matter, we don't want that popularity, he should just not come altogether. So that gives insight that they do their part as much as they can do. And then rest is up to Krishna. Rest is completely up to Krishna. And that's a very good sign of a devotee, that in the name of praying, it doesn't turn into being a handicapped person. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna, Ei Vishwas Palan. And the Bhava Bhakti, one of the characteristic of this devotee is that they are extremely sure that Krishna will protect me. This faith they nourish. And from the book Journey Home book, we know when His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj talks about Ramesh Baba, one of the devotees in the Marsana hill, when there was a news spread that there is a leopard moving around openly. So he saw, because that Baba would sleep under a tree, so he saw that this Baba has a small stick in his hand, a very small stick. So people asked him, Baba, you just have a small stick and you're sleeping in open, and there's a leopard free around. Then that Baba said, yes, this is to protect. But he says, what this small stick will protect you from? This is a leopard. It's not a billy, it's not a cat. What this small stick will protect you from? You know what he said? He said, actual protection Radharani is going to give. I'm just doing my part to show her that I am keeping a stick with me. So this mood, this very mood that I will do my part, rest is up to Krishna, is very important. So that we don't shift to the other side of full dependency on Krishna.
Or foolishly depending on Krishna. Or
Yeah, we hear in the example of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami chastising Raghunath Das Goswami, that please make a hut for you because Radharani is standing there with her sari covering your head so that the heat doesn't trouble you so much. And she is chasing away tigers from Radhakund because you are sitting in open. So don't take service from Radha and Krishna. You just do your part. Still, if tiger attacks, what can you do? So this is their fearlessness, yet doing their part. And dependency on Krishna. It's a very amazing combination. It's something to be realized. It's very hard to, it's easy to talk, but it's just very difficult to put in practice. Anything else?
Thank you.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, we see in this pastime how Gajendra, he keeps on fighting until he thinks, okay, now I can't do more. And then he calls out to Krishna. But, so my question is, where do we draw the line in the difficulty? Okay, now we stop fighting, now we let Krishna protect us and do what he wants.
Yeah, this is another very important principle to know. When to stop fighting and start depending on Krishna. In principle, I can just tell you, our fighting continues till it is practical for us that mentally and physically we don't get discouraged and disappointed in serving Krishna. Till then, fight should be on. What that means is, suppose there is an issue in your life. There is a problem you are going through. So you start to try and fix it. But while you're trying to fix it, while you're meditating how to fix that issue, in that meditation you forgot to meditate on the Supreme Lord. So that becomes the threshold where you are mentally so disturbed that you can't even chant or think about Krishna. That means enough. Stop and now depend on the Lord. Till then, one should try our best. See, the actual purpose is what? Satatam smartabhya Vishnu, vismartabhya na jatuchit, sarva vidhi nishedayar, ete evara kinkara. All the other rules and regulations, all the other endeavors are servant to this one rule that always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So when that rule gets disturbed, that our remembrance of Krishna we are distracting from that because of our endeavor, then stop. And that every individual will have to figure out what that means for them. So one devotee actually told me this point many, many years back, that when our mind is disturbed by a certain problem, but the purpose of the mind is to think about Krishna, so then learn the art of let go. Letting it go so that you can rethink of Krishna again. Because mind is supposed to think of Krishna. And problems will come. Even if you're living in the temple full-time, problems will come. This service not happening, that not happening, this problem, that problem. And we become too. So absorption in Krishna turns into a very external, superficial, material affair. Then stop. Is that okay?
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Anything else or we stop? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।